swinging to like 74, and Matt was like, all right, Trevor, you gotta swing. So
we were gonna revoke his man card. Drives his elbow forward. What's up, gang? Boy Trevor.
What's up?
He's been the man doing all the YouTube editing for me, so we've worked out a deal where I'm gonna try and make him suck less, hashtag suck less. And he's been helping me suck less at video editing, so I hope you guys have enjoyed it. You can thank him for that. But today, we're going to start a journey with Trevor. You know the Andrew Radford journey of breaking 90. Well, T-Rev over here, Trevor, he's got the breaking 85 journey. He's got the sub 90 level pretty set, but he's having a hard time cracking 85, even getting close to 80. So we're going to see what his swing looks like, tear it down, build it up, see what we can do. He's your classic little flipper, so a few of you guys are going to appreciate some of this. And if you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to the channel, like and comment below what you like about the lesson. Maybe you learned a little something, and then go check out T-Rev. He's an awesome photographer.
Yeah.
Make sure you take advantage of some of his skill sets like I have, and go check him out on YouTube and Instagram. We'll put that down in the link below. So, let's get in this video, T-Rev.
Let's do it.
Woo. All right, gang, so here we are. We're in the dojo. We got T-Rev on the mat. We're going to work in a couple swings. Let you watch his action a little bit, and then we'll break it down on the track, man. We'll kind of show you what's going on, and then we'll talk about how we're going to fix some of Trevor's issues here. So, T-Rev, hit some shots for us, please, sir.
Let's do it.
That's clean. 87 miles an hour? Look at you going a little faster. I like that.
Pretty good carry too. For me at least.
Yeah.
For me.
Now what are you hitting here? 8?
7.
7. So we got about 157 carry for a 7-iron, which is pretty good for an amateur golfer. He's going about 86 miles an hour, which is up from where he was like low 80s. About a month ago. We were
Honestly, low 80s, that's pretty generous. I was honestly swinging to like 74, and Matt was like, all right, Trevor, you gotta swing. So
we were going to revoke his man card. So let's break down in the video on TrackMan. Let's take a peek at what Trevor's got going on in slow motion, and then talk about how we're going to fix it. Let's jump into that real quick. So Trevor has a little bit wide of a stance for an 8 or 7-iron. So we're going to narrow that up. Typically when your stance is too wide, you tend to slide a little too much, and that's something we want to be careful of. And a good place to kind of start is we want to have the heels stand a little bit more underneath his hips in that sense. So now as we kind of roll the tail of the tape, decent turn, gets a full shoulder turn there. All in all, not too bad. Obviously, we got a little bit of structure with the arms we're going to have to look at from down the line, so we'll move the camera and take a look at that. And then now when he starts to come into the hit, you can already kind of tell that lead wrist angle is a little bit too extended, not quite flexed enough, so the shaft's probably a little steep in that down the line view. Right arm's a little too internal at that point as well. And so now when he starts to come into the hit, we're going to see a signature scoop at the bottom, right? So there we just get a little flippy at the bottom. Now, the rotational aspects, the way he moves his body through the shot, right? He's got a good little slide. He's starting to rotate. It's really just kind of more how Trevor uses his arm structure that's affecting his ability to maintain shaft lean through the shot. So let's take a look at it from down the line too. We'll have him hit a couple more, and we'll see what that looks like from down the line, just to confirm some suspicions there. Cool. All right, so this first thing we're going to do here, T-Rev, is I want you to narrow your stance a little bit like we were just talking about.
Okay.
He'll hit a couple more, and we'll see what the down the line view looks like next. Go even smaller than that.
Okay.
There you go. And do this. Point this toe out. There you go. Now you kind of gain some width back in your stance without widening your heels so much.
Right.
That way, if you've ever been on a TrackMan, you've ever seen this screen, just know the ball's not in the right spot. Is it more solid? Just a little left.
Uh-huh.
So there we go. We're starting to see the face close a little bit too much. So let's look at it from down the line, and then we'll dive into our fixes. So here we got Trevor's down line views, right? So we're kind of aiming for the E and TaylorMade right here. And so what you'll see is when Trevor starts going back, kind of rolls it behind him, right? So we get a little excessive roll. And the takeaway, that ends up being rolled well across the line. And a lot of times when players are across the line, if they're not really awesome at moving their trail arm to an external position in the downswing, you'll kind of see what you get with Trevor, where the shoulder stays back or the elbow stays back a little bit. Shaft gets really steep, and here the elbow's too far behind, not enough underneath his arms. So the club shallows really late. So I kind of call it late versus early in the downswing. So if you kind of look at the top of his backswing, as he starts coming down, he's too steep here, so he has to create a shallow, and he shallows really late, which is what his tendencies to overhook or chunk some of his shots comes from, is that the club then falls below the plane as it comes into the hit, which is also why we see a little bit of the scoop at the bottom. So we got to clean up some of that trail arm work for Trev. Let's get to it. All right, so Trevor needs to learn how to use his trail arm a little bit better. So like I was kind of saying earlier, he kind of rolls it out of the takeaway, and then he gets it across the line at the top. And then it's, when we talk about internal versus external, is if I were to stand here and I go this way like I'm winning an arm wrestling match, that's internal rotation. If I were to go this way with my shoulder, like I'm losing the arm wrestling match, that's external rotation. And what we see in tour professionals is they'll move that elbow in and get their shoulder a little bit more external in the downswing. Now, in Trevor's case, it's more of a fluidity of the motion, where he's going, rolling it, making his arm external going back, rotating it to internal at the top. He's kind of just flowing with it at that point and is stuck into that internal shoulder position, internal elbow kind of movement, where you can't quite get the club shallow enough soon enough. So, Trevor, hop up here for a second. Don't need your club, throw it on the ground, right? So one of these things that we like to look at is we want to make sure that Trevor can actually get his trail shoulder into an extended position, right? Or external position. So make a right angle like a pledge allegiance to the flag, okay? And turn to the camera a little bit more for us. There you go. Okay. So what we're going to look at is how far can he move his hand back without expanding his chest backwards. So go ahead and make your arm go backwards. So he can actually gain a lot of angle here with his trail arm into external rotation that he's not using, right? So go reset.
Okay.
Good. So now go internal. Good. So this is what you do in the downswing. Right? So we're going to show Trevor how this motion works, right? So you can relax for a second. Okay. Clap your hands together for me. Get in golf posture, right? We've talked about some postural stuff off camera too, where he's got to stick his butt out a little bit more. And one of these analogies I like to use is if you're a dog or a bird, he tends to tuck his tail underneath his butt like he's scared, and he needs to stick his tail out and get some more core engagement through his legs. And that can activate some more muscle groups for him, right? So now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a backswing with just your hands together, and you can split your grip a little bit, right? So that's kind of like more of a, sorry, the other way. That's kind of more how you would hold it in the golf club.
Gotcha. Oh, other way.
There you go. Yep, right? So that'd be your golf grip.
Yep.
So you can split your grip so it feels more like a golf grip.
Okay.
Keep your right hand on top of your left as you make a backswing. So pretend you're making a golf swing, keep your right hand on top of your left. Good. And that feels a lot different, right?
Yeah.
Now you can tell he's kind of jammed up, right? So we don't really want that because he's gotten all this tension in there. So that rolling takeaway is actually probably something that Trevor needs to do so that he can be relaxed in his golf swing. So what we're going to do is we're going to change what happens at the top. So now, right, keep that split grip. Let that right hand roll like you like to do, right? Good. And you can tell that Trevor's shoulder now isn't as jacked up, right? That doesn't feel nearly as tense.
Yeah.
Right?
Much better.
So we have a little better move going back, but what has to maintain is that he has to try and keep this elbow tucked, right? So reset again for me, right? Make another backswing, go back. Good, right? And so where the difference becomes for Trevor is that as he finishes, he'll go, relax, he'll go like this to the end and then drop his arm straight down and get stuck, right? So he has to gain a sense, relax. He has to gain a sense for when he makes his backswing where he rolls it, going back, And then keeps that elbow tight underneath his hand. Yep. As he starts that downswing and really drives his elbow forward, feeling like he's going under with his palm, right? So now let's do it again. So roll it back. Good. And keep this palm to the sky as you start your downswing.
Okay.
Good. Does that feel different?
Definitely feels different, yeah.
Do it again.
Okay.
All right, so roll it back. Good. Elbow under as you start down. Good. Okay. Now, one thing we're going to add is it's going to feel a lot. This is where we talked about the vertical drop when he's too internal. He starts to pull it down. You're still doing that move, right? So watch me.
Okay.
When you make that backswing, it's not down with the hand. I want it to go around and out. So it's almost like you get to the top, these hands are going to work out as fast as they're going down. In your case, you might feel like they're going out faster than they're going down.
So I'm dropping that back side and what you're saying with my shoulder, so I need to have more rotation up here.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So again, take it to the top, roll your palm to the sky. Good. Keep it to the sky and just rotate out that way. Yes.
Okay.
That's the feel. Palm to the sky, rotate out. Good. Right? So now let's put it into a golf club sense. So just square to the mat again.
Okay.
No ball. Right? So now take it to the top. Good. Keep that palm to the sky and start rotating out with the butt of the club. Feel like the butt of the club. Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That feels a lot different. Good. Good. Right? So we're going to see what happens next when he tries to make a hit like that. So what I want you to do is make a 3/4 swing.
Okay.
Feeling that palm to the sky, elbow in front. Pause, and then feel that rotation to start and see what you get.
Okay.
Amateurs turn their cell phones on when you're shooting YouTube videos. Unbelievable.
Sorry.
Good. Good.
Felt more solid.
Yeah. So let's take a look. So obviously that was a drill. So we're not looking for distance out of the shots just yet. We're looking for changes in mechanics. So let's see what happens on the video replay. It's like Jeopardy. Yeah, right? Insert Jeopardy music. Wow, so slow today.
What makes it slow? Is it just like is it connected from the Wi-Fi?
Something's up with my computer right now. All right, let's see a look. That was different. So we'll pull that up in a side-by-side. We're going to let him get a few reps under his belt. And then when he gets one that we think is pretty darn good, we'll pull this up and do a comparison and go side-by-side of a before and after, even with the drill, just so you can see the difference. Let's get to a few more tries. Palm to the sky, elbow in, and then rotate. That was different. And what he's really wanting to feel in this particular move is that elbow is driving forward as his palm staying in front, right?
Right.
So just drop the club for a second,
Okay.
right? Hold your right hand at your side, palm up. There you go. And I want you to feel like you're going in like a frisbee kind of toss. Like that's the motion you're trying to make. Does that make sense?
Right.
Good. Go to the club. Let's try it again. Ooh. That might be something worth looking at.
It went straight.
Yeah.
So.
You almost hit as far as you normally do at 10 miles an hour slower.
Good point.
So here's our comparison, right? Now, it's not always fair to compare a drill to the real swing, but it's a great way to show differences. So here you can kind of see Trevor's position in transition starting the downswing. So when he starts his move to the bottom, right, what we'll see is this club's going to be a lot steeper than this guy. So we start coming down, pretty vertical at that point versus this one. He's still trying to do that same move where he's trying to torque into that internal rotation, but we can see the elbow has gained in towards his belly, where here we have a gigantic space, right? So we've made a pretty good change there. And then now as we start coming down, the golf club isn't falling this way down below his hands as much. Here it's going to stay a lot higher, which means we're going to maintain some more shaft angle, right? So by the same point here, this is pretty close to the same place here in the downswing, right? This one might be one frame ahead. We'll come back just a smidge. Oh, or two smidges. There we go. The club's way more out in front of him than falling way behind him. And so now when he starts to come into the strike, we can start to see his lead arm get a little bit more in front and be blocked by his right, versus here we're starting to see a lot more of his left arm, and the right arm's way behind trying to get caught up, which is why we see a gigantic throw. All right, so now Trevor still needs to kind of learn how to maintain that angle on the through swing, but that change already is going to be very beneficial for him in the long run. But that's something he's going to have to work hard at, because it's against what his intention is most of the time in the downswing. Because even here, starting at the top, his first move is trying to twirl the golf club and pull straight down on it. And instead of trying to pull this grip, if I drew a line, he needs to feel like he's trying to pull his grip this way, and he tries to pull the grip straight down. Let's go see if we can tighten that up even more. So one thing we're going to do to help Trevor out, his grip could be causing part of some of these problems, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to try and put Trevor, he's going to probably put his left hand a little more on top to strengthen his grip, and his right hand a little more underneath to kind of match that rolling takeaway, and that elbow one to be a little bit more in front than behind, right? So Trevor, grab the golf club for a second. Okay. Right? Now, here's what we're going to do. So we're going to hold the golf club at a 45 to Trevor, right? So build your stance up for me. Take this hand off. Don't need it, right? And then to get his left hand on strong enough, if we hold it at a 45, we can get that left hand on a little better. If we hold it more straight in front, we'll tend to hold it more palmy, right? So we kind of want it set a little more to the 45-degree angle to him, so parallel target line, 90 degrees away from him. Is that an angle there? Left hand sits more on top. Does that feel a little more in your fingers, a little more strong?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, less in my palms.
Pinch the thumb and forefinger together, right? So you can feel pretty strong there. If you were to let go of these bottom three fingers, so always going to hold on to is his thumb and index finger. Take those three fingers off, right? Right? The heel of his hand and his thumb and finger should be able to support the golf club.
Mm-hmm.
Feel that?
Yep.
And it should be pretty easy. If you took his old grip, relax, and went to there, tried the same thing, it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
He feels the strain goes up his arm, right? So again, grip it up.
Okay.
Good. Perfect. Good. Now let that relax for a second. Okay. And you see how much more on top that left hand got, right?
Yeah.
So grip it up nice and tight. Right palm just follows in suit, a little bit more underneath the shaft to kind of match it up. Take it to the top for me again. Good. Hold on to this tight. I don't want to see a gap in that right hand. There you go. And then now the move I need you to make in the downswing is that this butt of the club, I want you to race it to the camera.
Okay.
Right? And pull it out that way. That's the start.
Okay.
Not
over
down.
The yeah. Okay.
We don't want this to work down. I want the butt of the club to work out.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
So let's see what happens when you try that. Yeah.
That felt way better.
That was different. So again, he's hitting as far as he did in his real swing in the drill, so that's always a good sign. All right, so we like that one from Trevor. We're going to let him do this drill about 5 or 6 more times to really kind of ingrain that sensation of going out, driving the elbow out instead of trying to rip the club straight down. And we'll see how it looks, and then we're going to put it to the test as we kind of wrap this lesson up and see if you can do it at full speed and not just in a drill, right? But always, when you're working drills, keep in mind, walk, run, do that in that order. Crawl if you have to, walk and run. So Trevor doesn't need to crawl necessarily, where he's got to do things in slow motion and do things in freezing frames. He's got to get to the right spot first, allow his brain to process the correct move, and then initiate. His trigger is to feel like he has to pull down on the golf club, when in reality he's got to try and drive the club out better. And that's just why we're pausing at the top, so that his brain can kind of think about and process the landing of I call it landing the airplane on the right runway, trying to land the plane the right way without too steep of an approach. So, do it again. Good. That was down. That wasn't out.
Yeah.
That was almost it.
I felt in my backswing too.
Yeah.
My right hand was getting more loose.
Right.
I think, like you said, that's where a lot of problems are coming from.
Right.
But when I tighten that, I kind of feel like the path is easier to get to.
Yeah.
So
here's a very uncommon thing that I'll teach my players that most people probably don't get coached into is I don't necessarily always agree holding it lighter is better. And I know it's going to rub a lot of people's feathers the wrong way, and I don't really care. In Trevor's case, holding the club tighter, choking the golf club, allows him to, quote unquote, feel more over the top right? So where we actually have to delay the release, because a lot of people don't understand, a flip is an early release. So we have to delay the release. And so by choking that golf club, holding it tight, and tensing the arms tighter will allow him to delay that flip at the bottom. If you hold it really loosey-goosey, you might have a little more smoother looking Freddie Couples type of golf swing, but I have a hard time believing somebody going 130 miles an hour with a driver is holding a canary in his hands while he's doing that. So come at me on YouTube. I don't care. Leave a comment below what you think. Packed at the top. Good. Out. Awesome. That was smoked.
Yeah, that felt really good.
That was smoked.
That's crazy that I'm getting the same distance and I'm not even swinging too. So it's like if I can bring that contact
to like 86 miles
to 86, I mean, I'm going to be hitting it way better.
All right. Well, let's see what he can do. Can you put the big question for Trevor right now is, can you get to the top without getting it roll past and across the line, but letting it roll to what we would call a laid off position?
Right.
Okay. That's the biggest thing for Trevor. We're going to have to see when he goes to a real swing now from the drill, is that if he rolls it past that point and goes across the line, it's going to be really hard to accomplish what we want to see. So let's see what happens in the real deal. So that got a little bit away from Trevor. Big distance bump though.
Wow. Wow.
Big distance bump, but he pulled it. He got a little across the line, so let's try it again.
Okay.
Right.
Point here, do I need to feel like I'm stopping instead of like trying to keep opening up, I guess? Or
yeah.
Okay.
It's you searching for a position.
Okay.
And I'll forefront this conversation with, I don't care if you overswing unless it's a problem. And in his case, it's a problem. I have plenty of players that go past the line.
Yeah.
Right. And it's good for some because it allows you to create speed. You need time to create more speed. In your case, it just puts you off plane.
Right.
It doesn't do you any good. So again, the feeling I would say is like you got to feel like when you're at the top, is like your shoulder is maxed out at external rotation where you can kind of feel that tense.
Yeah.
Right. When I do this, my shoulder relaxes. Right. And I don't feel that tension. So when you're going up, it has to feel tight. That's what I'm saying. Feel compact and tight at the top. Don't let it get tight and then loose.
Okay.
Right.
Makes sense.
So it's going to feel very abrupt and very sharp. Close. But again, like right now, you're hitting it farther, but you're yanking it.
Yeah.
So you got, again, it's about delaying the release.
Gotcha.
Right? That was almost it. Chunky, but
Yeah.
you chunked it as far as you were hitting it.
I feel like with that change is a little bit harder to hold on to, but it's probably because I'm just not used to it.
Yeah. And you got sweaty palms.
And I got sweaty palms right now. Chunky.
Yeah. Why did you think it's chunky?
Like you said, because I'm opening this side, right? There's too much room, and I'm dropping this back shoulder instead of going here.
Correct. That was the right answer. That was a pop quiz, ladies and gentlemen, and Trevor passed.
I'll take those, because sometimes I come in here and get a lesson from Matt, and he's explaining stuff, and I honestly have to tell him to explain it to me like I'm an 8-year-old.
Why don't you explain this to me like I am an 8-year-old?
Stuff doesn't make sense.
And then
too
like
over my head.
a 4-year-old, and then like an infant. Ooh. Now I know that wasn't the best hit, but let's look at the video. So here Trevor's last attempt. So obviously he's still got things to work on, right? So we kind of roll it back. So a lot of people are going to get, hissy-fitty that he's well behind his hands in the takeaway, but that's okay. It kind of matches up the style that we're trying to get him to, get accustomed to. And there you can still see, even though he's trying to make it short, it's still rolling off and getting across the line. So this is where we kind of said in the drill he can lay it off, but in reality he still twirls it across the line, right? So we still got to try and get him a little bit better there. The club definitely works its way into an earlier shallow, and it's still kind of dropping under plane because we haven't worked its way out with enough rotation yet, right? So that's why those last few shots have been slightly chunky and pull hooky. So the minute he starts to get a little bit cleaner at the top, he can start to work the club out more in the downswing. The more it twirls across, the more he's going to work the club down in the downswing. So that's something we got to protect against. Let's try a couple more. We'll wrap this baby up. weren't too long. Smoked it.
Yeah.
It's hard for what Trevor's trying to do because feeling is a lot of what we see, right? Hear and touch. The problem is when you get your hand up here at the top of the backswing, I can't see what my hand's doing, right? Like you guys couldn't see it on the video. When I get to here, my hand's gone. So you don't know if my hand's pointed open or shut or at the camera, away from the camera. You don't know. It's not on the video. It's the same thing. I can't see it, so part of my feeling's gone. So for Trevor, he feels like he's tight, he's doing a good job, and then as he can't see it or feel it as well, and it's in that transitional zone where everything happens really fast, it starts to go that across the line internal move again. It's just got to feel short, compact, and tight so you can start to drive it out. You're going to fall in that bracket where you need a shorter, more compact swing, like Tony Finau, John Rahm style, not Bubba Watson, Phil Mickelson style. That was short, but you went down to start it.
What's weird is like that feels so short to me, but it's just like,
To look at the speed,
yeah,
86 again, so it's not any slower.
that's true.
So all that excess stuff doesn't
even help.
It's not gaining you anything. That was as far as I will ever allow you to make a backswing.
Okay.
And this video is proof of that. The question is how many times is Trevor going to watch this video to relearn his lesson?
Sure. I get to go back and edit it, so it's going to be embedded in
This
my
video
brain.
might get 1,000 views just from Trevor. Short of short. Keep it tight, firm. That was shorter. Now that was short, but you didn't do a good job of keeping it this way.
Compact.
Mm-hmm.
Keep those hands a little tighter.
Correct. That and be a little left. Didn't delay the release long enough.
No, Chunk City.
But dude, that was close to the
Is that better?
backswing. That was
Okay.
really close to the backswing.
I felt like the path was better, but yeah, the chunky
You got to there and then went down instead of
out.
turning with it out. Because like once you get to here, you can just go that way as hard as you want, and it's just gonna get better. Ooh, man, that was close. Get to start left and we're on to something.
Okay.
Foot of the foot, there the stance. Shorter than short. Ooh, that's different. Woo! That's one we can go home on.
We can finish on that.
Almost 10 yards more carry. That'll work. So, Trevor's got homework. So the success of this Breaking 85 series that he's going to be working himself through is going to be dependent on how hard he works for it, right? So he's got his drill. He's got his techniques that he needs to focus on. Big thing that he has to do is, one, it's going to feel short of short for his backswing, right? And when he did that, he didn't lose any clubhead speed. It was the same clubhead speed, or within a mile an hour of it. It was 86, sometimes 83, but most times around 86, even though it was not traveling as long. And not every golfer needs that time. Some golfers do better with a shorter, more compact motion, like we see in Tony Finau, John Rahm, even Ricky Fowler's a little shorter parallel at times, right? So the big thing there is short. That's the big thing I want you to walk away from. And then what we want to see next time on video is that Trevor can get the golf club laid off behind him without the screwing in the light bulb motion at the top. And that'll be a big thing for him, because then the downswing stuff will come a lot faster.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for the viewers to help you understand?
Honestly, I think this lesson is a true testament of Matt's, ability to coach, because starting this lesson, like you guys could see, number one, my distance, but also my swing, there's a massive improvement. So, I mean, honestly, thumbs up for Matt there, because he honestly, just that small lesson, that small fix has already made a difference. But like he said, I have to be able to go back and do my homework, because this right here doesn't mean anything unless I go practice.
Right.
So,
and I routinely tell people, you didn't learn squat today. You just experienced something for the first time. To learn it, you really got to practice it, rehearse it, and study it. So that's Trevor's homework. Make sure you go check him out. If you need a photography shoot done, hit this man up. He's got some awesome pictures when he was out in the desert that I'm jealous of. And then make sure you subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you guys want to see coming up. And if you're in town, let me know. Maybe you can be on one of our lessons here on the channel. Until next time, out.